Hi, I'm here to give you an overview of what the terms gender, transgender, and non-binary mean. So let's start simple. Most of us learned that there were only two sexes and that sex and gender were interchangeable, probably to spare our grade school teachers some embarrassment. And many of us held on to that, which is okay if we haven't had the opportunity to learn better science. But that's what we're here to do, so good for you. The great thing about science is science regardless of what you want it to say. The great and frustrating thing about science, and I say this as a scientist, is that what we know is always changing. Being expanded upon or being refuted by new findings. So gender itself is an evolving science, but we can apply this principle here. We once thought one thing until we received new information. So with that, let's move on to gender and separate it from sex. Sex is physical, shaped by biological factors. Gender is more mental and emotional. It's a perspective that shapes the way we perceive and interact with the world. Now, surely you can think of people who don't conform to their assigned gender, or the gender they were given at birth based on their external genitals. Think about effeminate men or tomboys, or perhaps you yourself are a woman who enjoys sports, which is seen as typically masculine, or maybe you're a man who enjoys indulging his creative side. See, gender and its expression have never fit neatly into this dichotomy of masculinity and femininity. Now, let's talk about spectra. Most things in life occur on a spectrum, and few are truly binary. In fact, I can't think of any examples off the top of my head. So take aptitude for most any skill, for example. Let's take drawing. Some of us are terrible at it, and some of us belong in museums, but most of us are in the middle of these two extremes. So this carries over into lots of things, like hair color, skin color, athleticism, culinary skill, how religious you are, or whether you're a cat or dog person. It's hardly ever either or. For the record, I'm neither a cat nor a dog person. I'm a ferret person. So wherever you land on these spectra isn't right or wrong. It's what makes us unique as individuals. So doesn't it seem odd then that sex and gender are forced into this rigid, kind of artificial binary? Sex actually definitely isn't binary. But nobody really wanted to delve into being intersex in front of a room of immature teenagers in sex ed. Intersex people exist, and being intersex occurs about as often as having red hair. So if you've met a redhead, chances are you've met somebody who's intersex. So, in light of all of this, gender then remains binary? Nah. And it isn't fixed either, just as our talents and abilities may shift over time. So we've separated gender from sex and discussed how most things aren't binary, and how not everyone conforms to the label they were handed. So, maybe when you were a little girl, your mom wanted you to be into dance and dresses, but you were more interested in snakes and baseball. So is it that far a reach to think that some people's mental and emotional perspective doesn't align with the one they're expected to have based on their visible genitals? If you're with me, good. If you think it's silly, well, congrats. You've realized that gender is a social construct and gender norms are BS. But let me continue. So, some people who are assigned female at birth might feel like their gender aligns more with masculinity and vice versa. This is being transgender. Other ways to look at it are, I always considered myself a dog person, but then I realized that I've actually been more of a cat person all along. Or maybe I was an atheist, but then I found a religion that really speaks to me, and so I converted. But people can identify anywhere along this line too. It's not just about the two endpoints. So, maybe you have no preference for cats over dogs, or you're somewhat religious. So this is being non-binary. Not at either end of a spectrum, but somewhere in between. So remember how I said I wasn't a cat or a dog person, but a ferret person? Well, hey, that wasn't an option, right? Well, it isn't only if you're really focused on that cat-dog dichotomy, or binary. An example I really like, are you atheist or Catholic? Well, I was born Catholic, but I really liked Episcopalianism, so I converted. Someone else is neither, not even Christian. They're Jewish or Muslim or Buddhist or whatever. Then we can add another axis here and say, is somebody very religious, very devout, or are they not religious at all? So, a devout Catholic might be down in this corner, whereas an atheist might be in this corner. But then you have a lapsed Catholic, which might be somewhere in here, and then somebody who's spiritual might be up here. So if we can accept the complexities of religious affiliation and religious expression, can we not also accept the same complexity and fluidity of gender? And some people like to joke about identifying as inanimate objects, but if you identify as a rock, I'm going to assume you have the same intelligence as one. The bottom line, though, whether you think I'm full of it or not, is that regardless of sex, gender, skin color, body shape, religion, whatever, We're all people who deserve equal rights and respect. Except for bird people. They're just weird. If there is one lesson we should hang on to from childhood, it's do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Anyway, thanks for watching. I know this didn't cover everything and probably didn't answer all of your questions, but check back for more videos. I'm also going to include some links in the video description for further reading. So thanks again, and I hope to see you back here soon.